reusable menstrual products. These are simply menstrual products that are washable and reusable rather than a single disposable one. I know that the idea may sound gross and unhygienic at first, but come to think of it, what were our mothers, their mothers, and even their grandmothers using before the commercial disposable products became popular? As you think of that, I know that at one point or the other, you may have found blood leaking on your clothes, your pant, or even your bed sheet. What do you do with this item? Throw them away? Of course not. You simply wash them and reuse them. And that's exactly how the reusable menstrual products work. Reusable menstrual products are not only environmentally friendly and cost-effective, but they can be beneficial to your health as well. This marks our topic of discussion today on Health Nuggets, even as we are being joined by Ebi Weyime, founder of the Grace Cup, Kenya's first reusable product company. Thank you, Ebi, for joining us today.
Asante.
Now, why the Grace Cup?
The Grace Cup came from my own need. I was looking for a product that I could use because before I used to be like a very heavy bleeder, so I would use a tampon and a pad at the same time, which was just not economical for me. By then I was still living in Cape Town, so I was looking for something that is healthier in terms of no chemicals, because I used to get a lot of rashes, especially from the pads. So just rashes and pimples, and it was just not good. So I literally just Googled, like, what else can I use? And that's when cups came up. And the first time when I saw the cup, I was like, hi, no. I'm like, no, you see, I can't. But then I started reading more and more about it, and information is power. You know, just really understanding what is this thing, you know, how does it work? So I started really researching a lot about it, and I saw people from all over the world, literally all over the world. There was someone who was using, there are actually so many people who are using it. And then I just thought, you know what, kukufa. They didn't die, so pia mimi sitakufa. And that's when I bought my first cup, and I used it, and I was like, my God, this is life-changing. Because afterwards I realized I didn't hate my period, I was just hating the management around my period. So if I could get something that I could use well, then definitely this is the thing. So, and that's how I started using it. Then I started asking my friends if they knew about it, and all of them said they had no idea what that was. And I figured, yeah, I'm going to bring it to Kenya, and let's have women on this. Yeah.
Sure. And what are some of the reusable menstrual products that you'll say are in the Kenyan market?
Right now, at the Grace Cup, we have the menstrual cups. We also have cloth pads. So those are the washable pads that you just wash and you reuse. We are also looking at bringing in period panties. So it's just underwear with a built-in pad, so that you just wear it. Yeah, you just wear it. Yeah. So there are also there are also other methods like the sponge. The sponge is like a small sponge, but you insert it like a tampon. I've never used it myself, but I know one or two people that use it. Yeah, so we do have so many options right now that are reusable. So they're good for the environment, good for your pocket in terms of you're using it longer, and also good for your health. You know, there are no chemicals that you're putting inside your vagina.
So if you say using it longer, like the cups, for how long can you use them?
The cups, so depending on the size that you're wearing, you can use it for up to 12 hours, but it's reusable for up to 10 years. So you don't have to keep buying the cup every month. So when you come to the Grace Cup shop, the moment you've bought your cup, I won't see you again for the next 10 years. So yeah, you're gone. Economical. It's very extremely economical. So I keep telling people, don't look at it as you're spending 3,000. Look at it as an investment. 3,000, but for how long? You know, because I keep saying, think of anything that you've bought recently that you're guaranteed is going to last you 10 years. You're guaranteed you're going to be using every month, and it only costs you 3,000 bob. Even the shoes that you're wearing will not last you 10 years. True. You know, so this is the only product in the market that comes with those qualities. So it's definitely a great investment that you're making for yourself and for the environment as well.
And how has the experience been? Have people embraced the reusable menstrual products?
At first, there was quite of a pushback, which I totally expected, because like I said, even the first time when I heard of a cup, I just thought, no, I'm not using this thing. So there was quite a bit of a pushback, but thank God for the internet and people just researching and doing their own thing. So I can tell you as much as I want to tell you, but you also have the freedom of actually going and reading about it and understanding it. So I find that most people, the first time when I tell them about it, they're like, oh no, I cannot use it. And then like 2-3 months later down the line, they're like, okay, Abby, I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to try this. And then they use it and they never go back to the old methods. You can't go back. It's impossible. Yeah.
And now that you're a case study, of course you've used them before, how has the experience been?
The first time, and this is what I also keep telling my clients all the time, is chances are you will not learn it. You'll not be perfect at it the very first time when you use a cup. So the thing is, it takes about 3 to 4 cycles until you're actually very good at using the cup. And by cycles, I don't mean like you use it today and tomorrow. I mean cycles, monthly cycles. So it's going to take you about 3 or 4 months for you to actually get it right. Having said that, I have met people who, because they are done so much research beforehand, the moment they use the cup, they know exactly what to look for. They know exactly how to fold it, how to insert it, and they use it the first time and they're perfect. So, because we usually have a WhatsApp group for Grace Cup users, and people will post and say, hey, it's my first time using the cup. It's amazing. I did not leak. I did not feel it. I did not. To be honest, I'm usually kind of a little jealous because I'm like, it was not like that for me. You know, I'm like, I struggled. I struggled before I finally got it right. But then there are people who are just like that. They just use it the first time and it's perfect for them. So I keep saying it's not a competition. The fact that you learned it faster than me doesn't mean that you're better than me. It just means that we learn at different paces. But at the end of the day, we will all learn. We will all get there. Yeah.
And now you've mentioned different products. How do you know the right item for you, and what are some of the factors maybe to consider? Because Kenya being Kenya, of course, we'll have fake products all over.
Oh, they're already here, trust me. They're already here because people think selling a cup is easy money until you get into the business 2 months in and you realize, hi, this is the wrong business. You know, business-wise, it took me such a long time for me to actually start making money in this business. It took me about almost a year to actually do it. And I know people say I'm lucky because people take even 5 years before they can make money from it. So it takes a lot of patience and takes a lot of education. Like just educating one person on a cup from head to toe, you know, like what is it made of? And it's made from medical grade silicone, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned, because most people think it's plastic. It is not plastic, it is medical grade silicone. So it's the same kind of thing that they use for the baby's pacifier. Ile mnyonyi ya mtoto is the same kind of material that we use. Also in hospitals, the hospital catheters is this exactly the same kind of material. So it is not plastic. And that's why it can last so long and you can still boil it and continue using it because of the kind of material that we use. But you see, there are cups that are made from food grade silicone. There are some from platinum grade silicone. So the price will depend. It will vary depending on what kind of material that you've used. But then most people don't understand this. They just think a cup is a cup. But a cup is not a cup. It depends what material have they used to make this cup. So before you just go to any shop and buy something and insert it in your vagina, do your own research. Know what has this cup been made of. Look for certifications. And an easy way to just know who's fake and who's real is just someone who's just selling. They have no website. They have no nothing. They have no history, and just telling you, here's a cup, buy it. You start questioning it. You know, you need someone with a track record, someone who people have used their products and they know how, and they know that it's good and it's been verified and tested and all of that. So how to know which product is good for you? In terms of, do you need a cup or do you need a pad? Yeah. Okay, so I find most people that use the pad are people who are, because I find that most women are very shy, or they're not very conversant with their anatomy, so they don't know, for example, even the difference between a vulva and a vagina. They have no idea what the difference is. So people who've never used a tampon before, I find that they are more conservative in terms of, they're like, I don't want to deal with my blood, I don't want to insert anything, I don't to touch myself. So I usually recommend them get a pad. So if you're used to pads, no problem. We also have pads for you. The only difference is you'll wash it and then you'll hang it in the sun and you'll use it again. Also, people who I find, myself, people who are like physically active, you know, I find so many people who, on days when they have their period, they don't go to the gym, they don't go for practice, they sit at home most of the time. Swimming, for example, you can't do it. So, but then with a cup, you can do that. So that's why I usually advocate for, if you know you're like a physically active person, use a cup. If you know you don't just like the feeling of just having underwear, the people don't like wearing underwear. Sure. And if you don't like wearing underwear, then the cup is definitely for you. Also, if you hate changing in between, the cup, you can stay with it for up to 12 hours. The pad can get a bit fuller faster, which means in the middle of the day, you will have to change it. But if you don't want to, say you're traveling, or you're just in a position where you're working in a supermarket, for example, and you're standing the whole time, and you don't have time to keep going to the bathroom to go change, then a cup is definitely for you. Because then the moment you insert it in, I insert mine in the morning, I only take it out in the evening. So I don't have to interact with it at any point, you see. Just the convenience that a cup brings, you know, but then again, we're all different, we all want our own thing. I also use both, you know. I mean, we're women, and when you're having a period, you have all these mood swings, you know. Today you're like, yeah, I don't feel like a cup, I don't want the cup, I'll use a pad, and I just put on my pad and off I go. So it depends on really what you want. Most cup users actually also use cloth pads. You'll be surprised, because again, sometimes you just don't want to insert a cup, you know, and sometimes you're just spotting, and that's why we have the panty liners. Sometimes you're just spotting, you're like, I don't need a whole cup, I'm just going to be having 2 or 3 drops, so I'm just going to be having a panty liner. And also sometimes you're just like, maybe you're just in a position where you won't have a place to wash your pads and to hang them. Then a cup definitely comes in handy, because then, say you're traveling, you know, a cup is definitely good, because then you'll just take it out, rinse it off, reinsert it. There's not so much hassle. Yeah.
So maybe if you talk of you using the cup for 12 hours, what happens to this lady with a heavy flow?
Yeah, so as mentioned, we have different sizes. So the biggest is the 40 ml. There's some people who, even with the 40 ml, they still feel it in like 5 hours. But you see, most people that do that, like I have lots of clients with endometriosis and fibroids that use it. And they come to me and they say, there's one that was, I think it was definitely to the extreme side, but she is seeing a doctor. She would feel a maxi pad every 30 minutes. That's on day 2, on her heaviest day. Every 30 minutes she will feel a pad. So she was like, I can't do this. Like, I cannot sit in a meeting, you know, like I have to excuse myself every time, and people think like I have a running stomach or something. So most of those days she would just stay at home, because she's like, I don't want to interact with people, until she came across the cup, and then she got the super cup, the big one. And she says now she only changes it after 3 hours, and she's like, this is better than 30 minutes. Sure. You know, this is way better. So people will still feel it, but you see, those are people those are exceptions, they're not the rule. These are people, not many people will bleed abnormally like she does. So, and that's why I'm saying, with most people, you don't really need that big cup. And also what most women don't realize, an average woman, or just a woman with no complications, just a normal woman, you'll bleed for only 4 tablespoons per cycle, not per day. So this month, February, if I'm bleeding, it's only 4 tablespoons maximum. There are other people who is 3.5, the other people who's 1.5, the other people who's just 1, and that's why you have people with a light flow, with a heavy flow, and all that. You don't bleed for that much. That all the blood that you lose is 4 tablespoons. And when you start using a menstrual cup, that's when you realize. That's when you realize that.
Okay. And now if you talk of pads, this is something that I'm using. Then it will have my blood, and I'll wash it. For many people, they'll find that as unhygienic. And there are even women that cannot even using a tampon for them is a problem, just a normal tampon. And there are some, while removing even their pad, they even don't want to look at the blood. And many people are talking of period stigma. Now, what's your word to such women? How do they embrace themselves at that time of the month?
Yeah, you see, the root of all this, the reason why people are, they don't want to wash their blood, or they don't want to take out the cup. Like, even on my social media, I always like take out my cup and I show people, I make videos, I'm like, this is it. There's no smell, there's nothing to fear.
It's your blood after all.
It's your blood, yes. It's because of how we were raised. We were raised in terms of, you don't think about your vagina, you don't touch it, you don't talk about it, you know, nothing to do with it. So if that's how you're raised, then how will you even deal with blood that is coming from your vagina? Most people don't even know how the vulva looks like. Yeah, they have no idea. I'm like, if we had a lineup of five vulvas or vaginas, because we're used to saying vagina, but the actual term is the vulva, because the vulva is what you can actually see. But if we had 5 pictures of the vagina, can you pick out your own vagina from that lineup? Can you say, iya katikati ni yangu? Are you able to do that? But you can pick out your hands, you can pick out your face, you can pick out your feet, you can pick out your nails. But when it comes to something as intimate as your vagina, you can't. Why? Because you never interact with it. So it's very hard for someone like that to take a pad and actually wash her own blood, because it's already been put in your DNA that this is dirty, this is unclean, this smells, this is bad, this is a punishment from God, which is not. It's nothing of that. God never said that a period is a punishment, because someone said that it is a punishment from God. I'm like, it is not. It's something beautiful, something that brings life. You know, without a period, you will not have kids. All of us would not have existed if we did not get a period. And if a period is as unhealthy and as dirty as people call it, then the woman who was bleeding for 12 years and went and touched Jesus and got healed, if a period was that dirty, that woman would have died on the spot, because then you're unclean. Why are you touching Jesus? But what did Jesus do? He just said, somebody touched me, and he actually healed the woman. Because when they said the woman was bleeding for 12 years, where do you think she was bleeding from? From her nose? No, she was bleeding from her vagina, you know, and this is a problem that some women also experience, where you're having abnormal bleeding. This woman was having abnormal bleeding for 12 years, and Jesus healed her. So this is nothing, it is nothing. Let's not bring in the Bible and say that the Bible has said it's unclean. It is not unclean. It is not bad. Because if it was that bad, then that woman would not have been healed. Yeah.
And Abby, I'll say I totally agree with you, because maybe I'll just share my experience.
Yes.
I remember back then when I was a teenager, I used to, maybe just to save, or maybe to save my mom from a little coins, I used to have a piece of cloth that I'll use during my period, and after that, I used to wash it. So I'll say I used to do that. Maybe I can relate that to the cloth pad. And I used to wash it, because after all I'll say it's my blood, so I did not see anything gross in that. And again, it's used to save my mom a few coins.
Yes, and also what I find is the cloth pad, basically our grandmothers, even our mothers, they were using cloth. All of them were using cloth. There were no, the pads in the supermarket was something for the elite, you know, it was not accessible for everyone. And they used to use their cloth and wash it and hang it. So what we're doing right now is like we're going back to those days, because those days there were less infections. People are not going to gynecologists all the time to check their vaginas and everything, because the products that we have right now, they have so much chemicals on them. That's why we're always at the doctors, because there's always something wrong with our vagina. But you see, what we're doing now is we're going back to what our mothers and our grandmothers used to use. The only difference is this is in a more structured way. You know, it's more fashionable. It's something that you can actually hang outside for people to have a look at. So that's the only difference. The thing is, it's the same product that our parents used to use. It's just it's been packaged in a different way. That's the only thing. And also with the cup, in the olden days, I hear even right now in India with some people, the only difference is, like before they used to like dig a hole, and then you sit inside, and then you bleed, and then for those 2 or 3 days, and then you leave. The cup is the same thing. The only difference is it gives you the freedom to walk around. It's the same. So basically, we're just doing what the old and what people used to do many years ago. We're just making it a bit more, giving you a bit more freedom, making it fashionable, and making it something that's more acceptable in the modern age.
Yeah, thank you for that. And maybe on that note, we'll take a very short commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be talking of how do I use this menstrual pad? How do I use this cup? Don't go too far.